Let's take a look at opening compositions here. Nothing too outrageous for Jupiter. Standard 3-3 as you would expect. But for Greenleaves, they're going to go for a DPS start. 3 of them to be exact.
Yeah, triple DPS, the Pharmacy being part of that, and then of course the Wrecking Ball as your main tank. So been, you know, one of the options, I suppose, and it's quite nice to see Greenleaves leaning into that as well, especially on this map.
And this is where for Jupiter likely want to go back to spawn. Go and swap over to your Winston instead, or even to your own set of DPS. If you're feeling confident, you want to counter them out. Hengi on the Widow here really wants to put pressure onto Hashimi, now swapping into Sombra instead.
This is interesting. For Jupiter, this is actually more of a 2-2-2 than anything, with a kind of a divey feel to it. This is very offbeat, I should say, and Greenleaves already have control of the point.
Yeah, they're happy to take this matchup as well. Greenleaves have the option to go for the 3-3 if they like to. Ooh. Currently, they are winning, so...
Yeah, plus a hack on Anakin there with Hengi already down. That just kind of cuts off the head for Jupiter. Without those DPSs, they can't stick in this fight, so Greenleaves going to retain control for a while.
And Weststep was slept towards the end there as well, so things not going too smoothly for Jupiter. Losing percentage points on the cap, losing Enders.
Soniro able to get the wraparound on Sabagard, confirm that kill's pretty nice, and Greenleaves are just chugging up capture percentage at this rate.
And I think the good news for Jupiter is, okay, they haven't technically lost any big team fights. They've only lost a couple of members here and there, but those couple of members have consistently forced them to reset time and time again, which, like you mentioned, costs them more percentage points on objective.
They also maybe want to get something like an EMP up on Hengi. Even then, that's a bit of an asymmetric win condition because it's not going to be able to do too much to Hoshimi and Xerathi, but that's still a ways away in its own right. Jupiter don't really have a good way in for this fight.
They're looking difficult pretty much so far. Greenleaves ultimate's coming into play very soon.
Oh, good pressure on 10, and Anakin able to follow up after the call, but able to dish that one back, and it's just a bit of a skirmish for now. Greenleaves coming into ultimates, though.
You have to look at this. EMP is going to be a really big deal. I don't think the Pulse Bomb's going to connect.
Yeah, it was a bit wide, but EMP coming up for 50. Rocket Barrage available. Nice pick on Cloud, though. Anakin getting the wraparound on that and a hack on Soniro. Plus the pick on Hoshimi. Anakin really opens up. Greenleaves going all in. Anakin gets a third, and that's despite the Valkyrie being popped. They get Hoshimi back into the fight, but Jupiter have already done enough damage that Hoshimi is not going to rescue this one for Greenleaves. But tell you what, they'll be happy to take the 90+ percentage.
And Jupiter actually did a decent setup as well. You notice that, by the way, and they're still cleaning up. Point hasn't quite finished yet. It's at 95%.
Wow, they're going to be able to push this probably to 99 before the cap goes over, and finally gets there for Jupiter. But they've got a lot of work to make up for.
Well, like I said, the setup was decent for Jupiter because they initially got a hack onto Hoshimi, take him out of the picture. He's not necessarily dead, but he's not being very useful either. They put a lot of damage into Cloud, who was playing Ana at the time. He's now out of the picture. Again, not necessarily dead, but he's not helping if he's not able to be in combat. So Greenleaves kind of having 2 members count down for the count. Bit of a 4v6. Anakin finds the opening, and now we see the EMP coming for more openings.
Oh, only gets Soniro, though, and Hoshimi going to look to answer with a Rocket Barrage. It's on Ken Mahororo to block it, but he's hacked, so he can't quite. Soniro does still go down, though, so Jupiter have got more mileage from the 2 ultimates they've burned, and now want to hopefully get a few more kills on Greenleaves.
Well, this is still technically a win for Jupiter, where Greenleaves, okay, they saved most of their members, but it's kind of the opposite of what this game looked like at the start, where it's Greenleaves taking percentage points for a couple of members in a trade. Jupiter now doing the same thing. Probably going to be quite happy that they didn't lose the fight subsequently after failing a EMP on one person. They get to keep this point, keep ticking up. They've got a long way to go still and have to get value out of the rest of their ults.
I like the adaptation here for Hoshimi, actually using the Brigitte to hamper both the Tracer and Sombra. Jupiter don't really have the same kind of answer right now. Oh, Anakin already down. That's a rough one. And it's going to mean Nano Boost ends up getting committed out onto Ken Mahororo, trying to get some damage in, but also taking a lot of damage.
Like I said, they need to use these ultimates really well. The self-destruct has to get some mileage.
Unfortunately, while he's channeling down, Weststep takes the full brunt of the coalescence, and he ends up going down. So now Greenleaves very much on the front foot, and that's a stun, and then a hack on Ken Mahororo means he is re-demexed, and Greenleaves having lost no one. Nice EMP, but it's all on Hengi really to follow it up. They do find one, but with the counter EMP in, Hengi and Anakin are sitting ducks. 50 will clean up both of them, and at 99%, Greenleaves are looking poised to finish off this fight and take our first point of Busan.
And so much of this comes off the back of really good start for Greenleaves, where they ticked up to 99% right away. Didn't really allow Jupiter to do much. Had to take a while to get Anakin going here. Like I said, a decently long setup where they eventually got things working out for them. Anakin gets 4 kills in the fight that actually swings it around for them, but they need a little bit more. They need more gas in the tank, they need more ultimates, they need more value out of said ultimates. one EMP that doesn't net them a lot of kills. Okay, they're lucky to still have control of the point, but the unlucky part is they didn't get to kill members to charge up those other ultimates, and as such couldn't snowball the fight further to get them all the way to their own 99% overtime. So into round 2 now, Greenleaf's looking good.
Yeah, rollout here is going to be very telling as well. Greenleaf's already leaning into 3-3 again. They are going to be playing Sombra Goats. Jupiter actually coming back out on what they were playing just a moment ago and may actually have to make a change again.
I think they were maybe expecting Greenleafs to be rolling out on DPS. You can see now that as they're heading back to spawn, they've realized they've made the mistake, miscalled what the opening setup was going to be.
Yep.
Straight out to classic Sombra Goats here, or rather Rhine Goats. Sombra Goats being played by the Greenleaf side of things, and 50 on a perch looking for his first hack.
Jupiter are going to be able to get back to this point quick enough that there should still be at least a scrap over it before it gets captured. So they don't give up as much as what they gave up in the last map of Busan, but already big damage on Ken Mahororo. Hacked out D-Make. Brilliant position from 50, just totally taking advantage of that and even keeping the pressure on the pilot form here. Jupiter, West Step eats a stun, gets displaced as well, and he's already in trouble. Backs up, but not for long, and Jupiter, they had a brief window there before Ken Mahororo died where they could maybe make a counter trade happen, but no such luck. Greenleaf's definitely on the front foot.
But the first half of this engagement was good, right? Because they push away 50. They don't allow them to get that first hack onto West Step either. That's the moment where if you're Kemo Hororo, you're going back to your own team, you're playing the 6v5, 50's not going to be doing too much, but as Kemo Hororo goes out of position, he tries to fly a little bit too far, gets picked off, suddenly it's 6v5, Green leaves, and now EMP's available as well, which is going to snowball things further.
Yeah, it can catch them in the rotation with it. That's all 6 members. Absolutely beautiful and totally predictable as well. That is exactly what 50 should be doing. Yeah, it's the right time to deploy it, and it's an easy fight win for Greenleafs.
And there's just nothing that Jupiter can use so far. West Step is the one that's closest to an ultimate, but even so, he's very far away compared to where Greenleafs is currently sitting. Graviton Surge available, stagger onto Kemo Hororo as well. Nothing is going well for Jupiter in the second round, and we're already in the position where Greenleafs keep playing like this. They're looking at a 2-0 on Busan.
Jupiter just do not have the ultimate economy underway right now. Bit of a tough break for them. They are losing time, but they are starting to come up on ultimates.
One you need is Sabagon in the Transcendence. That will at least, some ways, protect you from the Graviton Surge from 10, which will be imminent.
Oh, hacked out though, so if the 10 doesn't quite commit the grab, didn't have an angle for it. That could have been the window though. Before Sabagon is unhacked now, he has that Transcendence available.
The longer this goes, the better it gets for Jupiter, because Claire will also have sound barriers, so they're going to have multiple layers of defense.
Oh, and Sabagon might just find a pick on Xerapi, so no sound barrier for Greenleafs. That is a grab already committed there on the side of Greenleafs, but they were already behind in that fight, and the grab is not going to rescue it for them. Still a bit of a tough brawl, though. At the end of the day, 50 might have just held down the fort here. With that EMP, they're going to be able to drop Ken Mahororo, and he can't use self-destruct to remech. This could just give Greenleaf enough of a window to get back in. Xerapi as well. They decided, hey, they've used all their ultimates. We might as well use all of ours. They end up holding on to the point.
And it's 95% now, so Jupiter have to get back here ASAP. You see Sabagon just diving for the point with Transcendence.
I think rightfully so. 10 looking to come back in on Doomfist. They recognize the need to reinforce and potentially just squeak out this final fight is way more important.
Not much left to use. Self-destruct, we're back in the same scenario. This has to get value. If it doesn't, likely going to be a loss.
Oh, and it doesn't. Cloud also wraps around to find Sabagon. 10 does go down, but honestly, the damage has been done, and that hack on West, that means his life is forfeit. Ken Mahororo again down on the point. And Greenleafs get 100-0 shut out here on City Center of Busan to take the first map against Jupiter.
And realistically, you look at both these rounds pretty similar.
Japan Belt Hype.
When you have, well, I mean, right now it's, I'll tell you what, Japan's definitely winning today, but it looks like Greenleafs will be the winners if things continue going as they are, because Busan, you look at first round, a little bit closer, but only because you are playing DPS on both sides. You do have Anakin, who kind of pops off in the middle there with a bit of a 4K kill streak, but when you get to a map like City Center and you're playing a standard 3-3 coach, Anakin's on a Brigida, he's not going to be the one to be able to do that. And suddenly you're in a space where, again, both rounds, very similar beats, where you have a game that Greenleafs take control early, they get the early cap, they have the better matchup to start with, the matchup that they wanted, they're able to snowball their ultimates and maintain control of the point for the entire time, 2-0 based on the way they're playing. Yeah, this is exactly what is going to happen with this kind of matchup that you have.
And I mean, honestly, the whole time it just looked like, especially on City Center there, Green Leaves were just taking Jupiter for a ride, right? Like, at no point did Jupiter feel like they had any element of control over the map and the match itself and its outcome, which is a shame to say. And, you know, part of that is, you know, struggling to really do anything about 50, and that's sort of a twofold thing. There's the elements that are spy checking, there's the elements of, you know, having support ultimates at the right times, and unfortunately the one time they did, they still couldn't really get much out of them, and just the whole thing was just massively off kilter. There are a lot of situations that were smartly created by Greenleaves that they then took advantage of that Jupiter never really did anything about.
And it was very predictable as well, like we mentioned. It's going to first fight victory, into an EMP, into Graviton Surge, and then basically you've set yourself up for an already 70% lead on that cap point. You win one more fight, you've got it. You have a position where even when you look at how this entire round started, I'm talking about City Center here, you have a wrong call by Jupiter where they expected something to be run by Greenleaves that wasn't actually run by Greenleaves. They attempted to fix that composition. They did. Came out of the 3-3, except tempo is now no longer in their favor because they're pushing into a team that has already taken position, that already has a Sombra set up, and things just do not get easier from there. But where things might look a little bit better is if we go to a new map. It will be on a different game mode as well. Assault this time, so let's go ahead and find out a little bit more.
Welcome to Hanamura. This is Assault. Two teams face off as either defenders or attackers. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to capture two objectives. First A, and then B. To capture an objective, the attackers need to stand within its range for a set amount of time. Defenders can delay capture progress by also standing in range. To resume capture, the attackers must force the defenders off the objective by any means necessary. If successful, they score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. Now the fight moves to objective B. If even one attacker is on an objective when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until either team is cleared away. The round ends when the attackers capture both objectives, or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points wins.
Map number 2, we already got a bit of a glimpse. Will be Temple of Anubis. Haven't seen this map in the rotation for a decent while as well. Certainly didn't see it last season, so bit of a shake-up here. And I think Jupiter are the ones that need a shake-up because based on how Busan went, this could be a 2-0 in terms of map score as well.
And what we really saw out of Greenleaves are just things that are going to bode well, compositionally speaking, across the entire series, no matter the map, no matter the game mode. They showed that they had really slick tank play and coordination when they were playing GOATS-oriented team comps, and they really flexed their DPS chops, both in the sort of non-GOATs that they played on the first stage of Busan, and then also right at the end where they rolled out on like the Doomfist Tracer just to see if they could clinch a final fight after reinforcing quickly. So says exciting things for Greenleaves, to say the least.
And one thing that Greenleaves can be quite excited about, aside from just being 1-0 up in the series, is the fact that they've already claimed a map, a kind of pseudo-victory against Jupiter, who are meant to be this very expert veteran team from Japan, and Greenleaves this kind of underdog team from Japan. They draw first blood, and that thematically is very important for the team.
So now Jupiter are going to sit pretty in a bunker composition for the defense. So again, flexing it a little bit more. Greenleaves, either they know about this or they've been able to spot probably Hengi up here on the Widowmaker. Nice catch on Sonaro, but I was going to say Greenleaves are
spots between the eyes, I think.
Yeah.
Sonaro's going to be feeling that one for Greenleaves, going to dive to break this bunker, pretty expected as well. You do see the Genji, you do see the Sombra. There's multiple ways for them to assess this. They have backup strategies as well. Okay, the insurance policy is going to be the EMP. Eventually, once the EMP drops, it drops on top of the bunker. That should be the victory. The other thing you do see is Anakin prevents Greenleaves from running a 3-3, but because there is now going to be a dive, Anakin's input into this fight should be lessened as well.
Yeah, and they also had to sort of remember, what does Junkrat do here? That's right, he puts a mine in a trap down here. So let's kill that first. And Greenleaves just getting back into some old habits, I would say, against Junkrat.
What I do have to say is Hengi, who already does have the ultimate available, is going to be the one picking up most of the slack.
That was a really nice halt just to keep Sonairo in the firing line. Otherwise, he probably would have slipped away with his life. Ooh, good catch on Hengi, but they can just commit a res. They should be just fine. Anakin getting a critical kill. Takes a tough loss. Cloud's really putting the team on his back here.
I will say, though, keeping Hengi alive over Anakin is a big deal. Anakin, once more, is not going to be the one really putting up much of the damage.
Exactly.
It's going to be Hengi. Sabagod's putting some back on his Cloud as well. And now Green Leaves are in a bit of a position where they are still looking for a dive target. They are still looking for their actual setup. Hengi's going to put a bit of a spanner in the works with the infra site now being deployed. And Anakin will be back into the fray too.
Green Leaves kind of need to combo some ults up here. They probably want to commit a Nano Boost with the Dragon Blade, possibly want to commit an EMP before a Dragon Blade, even just having a Primal Rage to keep people separated when you consider Sabagod will have a Transcendence before Blade is available. Green Leaves are going to have to work hard to find an inroad here.
We do already see the first dive coming through, but again, that scenario just takes so much damage, and you look at the positioning Hengi, he's playing that far back because they are respecting that first of all, the dive will probably be looking for him. Second of all, that maybe the EMP is available.
They're doing an excellent job as well of just stopping Sonairo from getting anything done when he goes in. This is a Nano Blade committed here with Green Leaves on the back foot, right into a trap. And that Sabagod still on the back end of the Transcendence as well. That is absolutely disgusting. But I've got to say, Jupiter have managed Green Leaves' dives so excellently here.
And I got to say as well, Anakin having that trap down, being able to stop the Nano Blade coming through, if that's all he does for that entire fight, which basically is accurate too, he's done his job. He's made his value on this team really count. He's about to finally hit this Riptire, which is going to be difficult for a Junkrat versus dive to build up. But now that he does have it, when Green Leaves want to set up this next dive with EMP, it's going to be hard because Tire will be the thing that will cost a few members on the Green Leaf side, and that's going to really stagger out this dive.
EMP is going to be pretty brutal, though, with Sabagod not having Transcendence anymore. That being said, they can stay but separated, but no, finds all the critical members. Barely popped Valkyrie in time, and Sabagod actually finds Oshimi, who's one of the key members to follow up on the EMP, especially when you consider it was all the members up on the ledge. The rest of the fight's happening on the ground. Again, Sonairo goes down, and like you said, that's with Cloud popping Transcendence now. Riptire, even if it just fishes a kill somewhere, it's actually going to turn tail to find 10, given that 10 was standing there killing Anakin, and also the other support Sabagod, who gets raised back in. So suddenly, Green Leaves, very little time on the clock.
And I will say, because Jupiter still have tanks alive, they maintain control of the point. Yes, they do lose a tech, but they will eventually win this, especially if Hengi's picking up more members.
Oh, Pocky might not even get back in the mech here. No, he will not. Probably shouldn't have anyway, because it would have just lost them time. He was in a spot where he would have got demech'd again. So Green Leaves now only have one fight left, and Jupiter, they've still got at least a Transcendence here.
And now Hashimi wants to try and counter-snipe this one. One thing you'll find out quite quickly is angles being played by Hengi is super far back, even towards Defender's B point. We're now at the 15% mark, or 15-second mark, I should probably say. You're only working with a Primal Rage, you're only working with a Nano Boost, already being used, trying to get 10 his Dragon Blade.
Also, maybe trying to get a firing line up onto Anakin here. Nano Boost committed, Dragon Blade not so much, so sort of part of a combo already gone, and they've also long since popped Primal Rage. It's now run out, and at that point, 10 goes up to try and take advantage of Sonairo going up, and Sonairo's dead already. 10 ends up going down, and this is just completely botched by Green Leaves, unfortunately not able to get mileage out of potential ultimate combos. Whole thing results in a full hold there, minus a tick or two for Jupiter.
And I think you look at
Jupiter, don't at me.
And I think you are in a position where you look at this and say, okay, if we're playing Control again, we're playing Busan, we face the Dothraki on an open field, we probably lose this engagement. That's the kind of world you live in, because in that 3-3 mirror, in a flat ground fight...
God, that was Japanese.
It was. But the thing is, when you look at this kind of gameplay, instead, you're playing Temple, you're going up against Bunker, you have high ground to deal with, Hengi's hitting shots like nobody's business, Anakin's able to catch a Nanoblade in a trap as well. That's absolutely insane. And so many things are going so wrong for Green Leaves in terms of trying to find the weak point of this bunker. Where is the pressure point here? How do you open up this defense? Which part of this defense is the point that needs to be the point of failure such that the bunker collapses? Is it Hengi? Well, he's playing so far back. Again, in that replay, his positioning so incredibly far that if you were going to go for him, you are not doing anything else around the point.
You're wasting
and
time.
He is going to take you for a ride as well, because he's got mobility. If you're not going for him, you're going for other people, but also you're still dealing with Hengi. You're not taking down Claire, you're not taking down Anakin, who is kind of went down once, but not the highest value members. You're not really getting those player advantages. EMP did nothing, Nanoblade did nothing, Nano Boost towards the end did nothing, Cloud wasted Transcendence, and everything is going so wrong for Green Leaves.
It really also felt like Green Leaves, the execution and the team coordination was just not as good on dive as it was for the triple DPS with the Wrecking Ball, and also the 3-3 with the Sombra, right? Like, It just felt like a weaker composition out of them as well. It was the right, quote-unquote, answer for the bunker, but they just weren't as good at playing it.
And I think Jupiter definitely outsmarted the side of Greenleaves now, who have a monumental task ahead of them. It has to be a perfect defensive setup. If they make a mistake, they probably lose the cap, and that will mean they lose the map as well. Jupiter have 4 minutes to set up any kind of offense they need.
It looks like this is partially looking to siege it out, right? You've got snipers, you've got a bit of splash damage from the rockets. You're just wanting to chip away at the defenses, cause a bit of chaos, hopefully open up a pick, and then just fully cap the point. Hell, they've already got pressure on the ground that's gone unanswered by Greenleaf's. Biotic Grenade plus hack on 10. Sunny is to duck for cover, either dies or won't get much done. Pocky goes low, and
Naraj.
Jupiter massively on the front foot here.
That's already enough kills.
Too easy for them. 10 hits, one back, but it's only one. Jupiter, I mean, they've all but broken through.
And this is the point where now, even if Jupiter don't get the cap now, they have respawn advantage. They have the proximity. Greenleaves are in so much trouble.
It's too late. The damage is done. Hack on 10. He's nearly got a grab. Kenma Hororo staying alive for now. He's nearly got an EMP of his own, and really low here. Just kind of want to get topped off. They did get some critical members in the form of the healers.
Oh, can't even go on the grab.
This is wild. Sonaro's down. Cloud is down. 10 has stayed alive for an impressive amount of time here, but even all good things come to an end. He is sure to go down, or if he doesn't, it'll be because the point gets capped out, and that's going to be it. Jupiter, in what is really just one extended engage, are going to keep a massive lid on Greenleaves. Absolutely pick them apart. Brutal headshot to close it, and Jupiter are going to hit one back, and they're going to hit hard.
I felt that bullet travel straight through. In my seat here in Jupiter, I do also have to commend them.
First-person perspective.
I know, it was pretty brutal. It was actually in third, but just see the bullet fly past. But even Sabagod, the Ana on the high ground there, he's trying to play basically the Ana cinematic or the Ana intro video where she's up there. You had the Symmetra set that one right.
Teleporter.
You have the teleporter onto the Ana on the high ground, the perfect angles.
Yeah.
And to counter that, I mean, if you had the D.Va in position, okay, the D.Va flies up to the Ana, you suddenly lose that positioning. But moments after moments here on both attack and defense, Greenleaves are in deep water. They are not prepared for the strategy of Jupiter that they've brought up to the table today. In terms of preparation, you can definitely say that for Temple of Anubis and for Jupiter, 1-0 here is an excellently executed strategy that Greenleaves just got fully stumped on.
I mean, I feel like we've almost just watched two completely different series when we consider how both teams looked in either of those situations. Like, on Busan, Jupiter just looked utterly lost, especially on City Center. Greenleaves looked great. They looked really slick on all the things they played. They played a fair variety of things as well in terms of DPS-oriented compositions, the 3-3 with the Sombra, even weaving some DPS in there when necessary. And then on Temple of Anubis, we saw literally the opposite. We saw Greenleaves looking utterly lost, both in terms of execution. Well, actually, not in terms of composition, but totally in terms of execution. Much like Jupiter back on Busan, the composition was right, the execution was not.
And I do think the analogy is kind of correct here in saying, look, okay, if you have the stronger army, we'll say Greenleaves on paper, if this is a war, they have a stronger army on an open battlefield, they just roll over Jupiter, which is what Busan looked like. But now, this is more like Thermopylae when you're looking at Temple of Anubis, and yeah, you got a bigger army here, but we're going to funnel you through. We only got 300 Spartans, but we're kind of winning now because our strategy is a little bit more sound.
And a massive Athenian navy. Let's be historically accurate. Well, all right, Themistocles got done dirty in the history
I'm just saying that in terms of the difference of Temple of Anubis versus Busan, it seems like, okay, you take a straight up fight, you lose, but you have a better strategy on a certain other map, and you're in a better position to win. That is going to be, though, a very nice swing of things in the series so far. 1-1 apiece. Japan Ball certainly living up to the hype so far. We'll see if it continues doing so right after this break. We'll see you soon, right after this.